Hi everyone, welcome to our last post. So today we're going to be talking about characterization, which is our last major concept of the module. And I just wanted to kind of go over the PowerPoint that's accompanying this post and maybe talk a little bit about the discussion board, since that's going to be our last opportunity to put this into action, this concept into action. So, characterization is one of my favorite terms. The reason I like characterization so much is I love characters in literature and in film. And if you think about what makes characters interesting or unique, or like the people that you see and interact with on a daily basis, it's characterization. It's what gives, characters their life and personality. And so that if we understand this term, I think we can not only understand a lot about the different literary terms that we've gone over, but I believe also, how we experience our lives too. So let's just hop right into it. So I'm going to skip to slide number 2. And characterization, here's 2 definitions of it. I like the second definition a little bit more, where we are looking at, the first definition, where we are looking at the author's expression of a character's personality through use of action, dialogue, thought, or commentary. So how do we know who a person is? How do we know who a character is? Well, the actions that they make, the thoughts that they have, the things that they say, all of these things tell us about a person or characters, um, you know, who they are, right? And so now the question is, when you're writing a book or you're directing a film, how do you let someone into someone's thoughts, their thought process, what they're thinking? Or how do you let someone know this character's backstory, who they are, where they come from? That goes back to characterization and little things like dialogue and action. And sometimes if you can get literally inside their head, in some books, where you have, the narrator or the character saying the things that they're thinking, or in a play, a monologue or soliloquy, you can kind of get a sense of who these people are. So, once you understand the broad strokes of characterization, it's just all the little things that let us know who a person is. Then we can get into things called direct or indirect. Direct characterization or telling is where the person, the narrator, or someone tells us something about the character. So, for example, let's say I want to describe someone who's getting coffee, and I say, Frank was angry. Well, I'm telling you, something about him. Or if I say Frank was an impatient man, I'm telling you something about his character, who he is, right? So I'm not showing you anything. I'm telling you what his character is, right? Now, indirect characterization reveals this information in such a way that it's not directly telling you. It might show you an action that indirectly allows you to understand who this person is, right? So if we have Frank yell at the barista because his coffee is taking more than a minute, well, we can see that this is indirectly telling us something about him. He's impatient, right? Now, which one of these is better? Well, there's kind of an old maxim, you should show, not tell. One of the reasons I think that indirect characterization, especially in literature, is preferred is that we experience the world through indirect characterization. Meaning that, think about how you think about me as a person, right? Over the past 8 weeks, how do you know who I am? I'm not going to maybe come out and tell you I am this, this, and this, but you experienced it through my conversations with you, my dialogue, my back and forth, whether or not, maybe the persona that I have in these videos, things like that. So, it's all indirect. What I'm trying to say is that we experience the world, as people show us who they are through their actions and speech and things like this. So that's why I think, when we get to literature, it feels kind of condescending if someone tells us this information rather than shows it to us. And so that's why I think that's just sort of why we prefer literature that shows instead of tells. So anyway, that's basically direct versus indirect. The final slide is just basically examples and just kind of trying to test you whether or not you can see if it's indirect or direct. So we can go over one together, but number one I think is a little easy. Number 4 is kind of one of my favorite ones. So, if I just tell you that John wears outdated clothing, well, I'm just telling you something about him, aren't I? Now, if I described his outfit, right, as the sunglasses, the bell bottoms, all these sorts of things that are dated, well, then you start to get the sense of, like, oh, he's, wears outdated clothing. I don't, so if I show it to you. So when we think of the indirect or direct, it's whether or not someone is telling us rather than showing it to us. Again, going back to the whole idea of show, don't tell. So when you're thinking about characterization this week, that's what I would go back to, is showing us information rather than just telling us. So how does this relate to you? So why don't we go to our discussion board. So our discussion board, the one I want to connect to, is the monologue. And so if you're looking at obviously what a monologue is, it's where you are, a character is talking to someone, and so that in order to maybe show us information about the character, we have to think about the action that they make, the dialogue that they use, the way that they talk to one another. All of this will show us something about the characters rather than telling us. So for example, instead of maybe having a character say, I hate it when you do blank, you can have them maybe show us their anger in action, or maybe in other things, in terms of trying to convey that information. Oh, excuse me. So one of the things that you have to do is, where it says, please write a 1 to 2 paragraph monologue that reflects one of the main character's personalities, is think about, what their personality is, and then how to convey and show us that information without maybe directly telling us. Okay? So I think that's about it. And I guess at this time I just want to say thank you so much. If you've made it, if you're watching this right now, that means you've not only made it through these 8 weeks and, worked really hard at learning these different concepts, but you've watched all the supplement material, right? You didn't have to stick around and watch these videos for several minutes a day, or a week in some cases, but you did. And you should feel really proud of that, because, you are part of this class in a way that other people might not have been able to be part of it. That we've had these conversations. Granted, they've always been one-sided because you can't talk back to me, but I really feel like they were important because they allowed me to kind of explain some of these things in a verbal way, and I know that a lot of us learn more effectively that way. And by taking that, that extra time to kind of just go over these things, I think it's really shows a lot about who you are, right? Kind of going back to characterization, and tells us something about your personality. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much. And if you could remember to review the class, that is such an important part of not only the institution getting better, but me as a teacher getting better. And so if there's things you liked or didn't like that I can improve on, I really want to know about them, and so does the college, because we value your opinion and your experience as students in this course. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. And also, in the last post, I made sure to give you my email. If you ever need help on things in the future, in terms of your writing, please let me know. I've gone over other essays, with students in the future. I might not be an expert in that subject matter, but I could, kind of help you with things like APA or thesis statements or whatever the case may be. And so I don't want you to think that this is an 8-week thing and we're done. That I can try to help you as much as possible, and even write letters of recommendation if that's something that you think you need, okay, or you do need. All right, so again, thank you so much. And if there's any last things you need to talk to me about this week, I'll be around. Other than that, I'll talk to you in the discussion boards in our last post. Bye.